Hi guys, welcome. It's been a while that I've been on here. Today I'm going to be making a bread and I want you guys to come along with me. So, how I usually prepare when I'm baking my breads, I usually write down what I'm gonna bake and the ingredients and the measurements, right? Of water, flour, whatever I'm gonna use. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing here. And this is how it looks. This is not the finished thing, but let's make some coffee before we do that. Now, what's better than some fresh coffee in the morning? Nothing. All right, so this is my plan, right? So I'm using 70% hydration. So my plan was to bake cinnamon raisin bread, chocolate bread, and whole wheat normal bread, but I couldn't do all, so I did two. So this is what I'm using, and these are the ingredients. That's the baker's percentage. Guys, look it up and you'll never have problem baking your bread again. It is so much easier when you know the baker's percentage. So here I'm adding the flour. This is the water. I'm using 70% hydration, so 70% of the flour will be my water. And make sure it is at room temperature between 37 and 40 degrees, or else the yeast is gonna die. So the bread I'm making is artisan style bread, so the dough is a bit sticky. And this here I'm using 80% white flour and 20% whole wheat flour. Those tools I just showed you are very crucial for baking. All right, so now I'm adding my raisins. So okay, so the cinnamon I added when I was mixing the yeast. I forgot to show that. When I was mixing the yeast in the water, I added the cinnamon and the sugar. So to be honest, I'm not adding the raisin how it should be added. So it's not when you add it like this, it's not going to be evenly distributed. But it was okay. It was okay. Ideally what you want to do, you see what I'm doing now? Is open your dough a bit and then you add and fold, add whatever inclusion you're adding, you add and fold. So when that was done, I was done mixing, I put it in the oven to proof. So I'll give you a little trick. If you don't know this already, you can put your dough in the oven and turn on the light, and that warmth will proof your dough faster. But this is if you're living in a cold country, right? So when that was done, it was done proofing. See, it doubled in size. Beautiful. That's kind of one of the most rewarding part of baking, is to see when your dough has doubled in size. I love it because sometimes just a simple mistake and your yeast can die. For example, if the water is too warm, then it can kill your yeast, and all that work will be of no good. All the work you put in to prepare your dough would be of no good because it wouldn't have doubled in size. Okay, so now here, after it has proofed, I flour the table a little bit because the dough is a bit sticky. It is 70% hydration. You can decide to use 60%, which makes it a little bit firmer. It's not so sticky. Some people are using 100% hydration, but these are professional bakers. You could actually add the raisins at this point. You see, I'm folding. You could actually add the raisins at this point. And after folding, I'm gonna just flour a little bit because it was getting sticky again, and I'm going to turn the dough. I'm forming it into a round form. You can decide, you can put it in a loaf pan, you can put it in whatever form you want, but I like to do a round form. So I'm doing that until it creates a bit of tension on the top. Then I know my dough is ready to sit another 30 minutes. So I'm using the bench scraper to pick it up because it's sticky and I don't want to lose the form too much. So yeah, use the bench scraper, it's a winner. And cover that for 30 more minutes, and then voila, it has puffed up again. And here I'm gonna try to score my dough. This part, I must say, I have not gotten it fully, and at the end you will see I could have scored it. I could have gone a bit deeper, I think, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. I did a cross cut. Normally I'm doing a side cut, but today I felt to do something different, so I'm doing a cross cut. And yeah, I'm using a razor. There are fancy tools that you can buy for this process. For it's called scoring. There are fancy tools that you can use, but I just bought a pack of razor, and that's what I have been using to do my scoring. It works just fine. So now the oven had been preheating for the last 30 minutes with the Dutch oven inside. So I'm opening it up to add my dough inside. This Dutch oven I'm using is actually an outdoor Dutch oven, but it can be used in the oven. It's no problem. A lot of people are using crock pots, or they're using the Dutch oven, but the more fancy ones. I'm just using this outdoor one that they boil soups in and whatever. So carefully transfer your dough into your heated Dutch oven. Based on what my research, I found that when you add some ice cubes to your Dutch oven and then cover it, it creates more steam, and that's what you really want for this type of bread. You want a lot of steam because that's how the bread is baked, and that will create the more crunchiness, I think. I'm not really sure, don't quote me on it. So yes, I put that in for 30 minutes, and then after 30 minutes I remove the lid. So this is where I'm removing the lid because I want to look how beautiful that is. That is beautiful. So I remove the lid because I want some crust. I want the crust on top. I want the bread to be crusty, crunchy on top, but soft on the inside. So here I'm testing if the bread inside is baked, because you don't want to be eating no unbaked bread. So between 90 and 210 degrees Celsius, then you know your bread is baked. You can take it out, you can eat. Don't over bake it because then it will be too dry. Alright, so I removed it. Be very careful with this Dutch oven because it's super hot. Anything you take from the oven, be careful because it will be extremely hot. So after your bread is done, you take it out the oven. You want to put it on something like a tray, not a tray, like a shell, like what I'm using, or something that takes it off take it off the surface so it cools properly. So yeah, that's the bread. Looks amazing and it tastes amazing, guys. You should try this recipe. Yeah, and I'm gonna have that with some butter. Really nice. I wish I could say it's homemade butter, but it's not homemade butter, it's store-bought butter, but nonetheless it's delicious. All right guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Okay, bye.